Ticket Blues podcast. I am Brian Buckley. This is being recorded on March 31st. It hit the internet on April 1st. I know what I'm talking about. Oh, April Fools. I don't know anything. Remember, you can listen to this show and all the other shows on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Red Ticket Blues and at BrianBuck13. So, last week, if you were expecting to hear my voice and go over the world of sports in the week before, instead you got a little of the Thursday edition, meaning I had a guest on. That was the great Dave Sims, who is the play-by-play man for the Seattle Mariners. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Dave had a lot of opinions on a lot of things. He was great. As are all the guests on the Red Ticket Blues podcast. The host definitely needs some work. Guy kind of sucks. But what I wanted, like I was saying, I switched it up. Thursday, on Tuesday, on Monday. I'm going to name all the days here. Let's go through the week. No, on Monday when I recorded the podcast, I just got off a plane from getting back from Puerto Rico in the gold shorts with the gold trim. That wouldn't make any sense. And I was exhausted, so I wasn't about to do that. I mean, traveling sucks. It really does. I mean, long time ago on the podcast, I told you about how much I hate Southwest Airlines in the cattle push that they push people to, but you get to pick your own seats. The lining up process of that. It took JetBlue, which for the peasants, the peons, the paupers like myself, I guess unless you're on like Virgin Atlantic and taking one of those double-decker ones that they did snakes on a plane. This is what the normal common man takes. JetBlue's pretty nice, other than the fact that my headset really, it was a little difficult, but you think movies and stuff. But I'll tell you, I flew American Airlines a few weeks ago. What a pile of hunking shit. Is that better? That airline, my God. I think they didn't give us any food, nothing, not even a snack. On a long flight, I'm not going to mention where, but a long flight, one glass of water. I don't even know if we got options to have anything else. But I'll tell you this. No headsets, no TVs that came down, and the terrible top 40, or whatever awful music they have in your armrest, those weren't even working. You didn't have the option of that. They wanted you to stare at the back of the person in front of you. They wanted you to stare at that head of the seat and just, I don't know, pretend you weren't on a plane that was going up and down. I always think they're always going to crash anyways. Terrible. Anyways, how's everyone's week? I'm trying to get back in shape. When you're on vacation and someone takes a picture of you. My wife took a picture of me and I look and I go, holy shit. Good God, what is that? I mean, and I'm not fat, but I'm looking not great. And people probably hearing this go, God, you are nuts. Yes, I'm extremely vain. It doesn't get more vain than me, so I'm trying to eat better. And for you young kids out there, I'll tell you, it happens around like 25, 26, 27, suddenly those pounds don't come off the way they used to. I mean, my meal used to be Mountain Dew, some honey buns, and big bag, not big bag, but the 99-cent bag. Now they're $1.49. They want to get us fatter of Smart Food. And I would play basketball all night, or I'd get loaded. Those are the only two options. There wasn't a lot of in between. I usually played basketball till like 1 a.m, or I drank till 4 a.m. And then as you get older, the basketball goes away, the drinking starts, and then all of a sudden, I didn't used to weigh as much as I did, but now my like regular weight is like 30 pounds more than my regular weight was like, Jesus, about 5-6 years ago. So it happens. People get fat. So I'm trying to get back in shape here. Walking every day, doing that, drinking lots of water. I'm not drinking a beer here, and I love drinking beer on the podcast, but this is water out of my Captain Tony's Saloon cup. So enough of all this garbage. Let's get to everything that's gone on. There's a lot to get to. We have. Sometimes I think LeBron and A-Rod are the same person. They're all over the place. Matt Harvey is obviously having some issues, and now he's shunning the media. Unshun. And March Madness, a Final Four is set. We'll briefly go through that. Little NBA also. And, of course, we'll touch on the Yankees and Red Sox and their comings and goings and the issues they're having in spring training getting ready for opening day. And we'll also jump in on the Mike and the Mad Dog reunion show at MSG yesterday. So let's start. Where are we going to start? Let's start with March Madness. So the field is set. And We have 4 teams. That's the final 4. So Oklahoma, Villanova, Syracuse, and North Carolina. 2 2s, a 1, and a 10. Where are we going to start with? Let's start with Villanova. Now, Villanova is a team with no first-round picks. They are sort of all, you can't use the word journeyman in college, but hard-nosed blue-collar workers. Jay Wright has finally gotten over that hump. Now, Mike Francesa probably feels that he made a Final Four because Jay Wright is on the show quite frequently, maybe every week. But Villanova shocked. I don't say they shocked the world because they beat Kansas, a Kansas team I thought was going to all the way. But unfortunately, Kansas did what Kansas does. And I hate to hold a team accountable for the past of that team, but Kansas did what they did. I mean, that was the team that was overall supposed to be the number 1 pick and number 1 team in the draft, and we all thought they'd be there, and they didn't play well. And that foul on Graham of Kansas was a foul. So I don't want to hear that. I know some people, this is a little late, so some people are like, oh, God, Brian, I don't even remember that. I know it happens. It's been a while since you and I had a chat. Okay, so we'll get into Oklahoma. Oklahoma will be taking on Villanova, which is the game. The winner of that game, I believe, is the national champion. And they're powered by Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield, Buddy Hield, Buddy Hield. That's what my wife says when I'm like, hey, see what Buddy Hield is? Buddy Hield, Buddy Hield. Yes, Buddy Hield. Listen, that guy, he reminds me of Jamal Crawford. He's just a shooter. He doesn't do a ton of other things. I think one game was it the game that he scored 37 in? He had 0 assists in. So I think Oklahoma is going to win out of the 4 left. And on the other side has more storylines. You have North Carolina versus Syracuse, 2 historic programs. One with, Syracuse only has 1 national championship, but luckily it wasn't vacated like all the other games right after it were, with that academic fraud stuff. But 2 great institutions, actually, and they're both, North Carolina is still waiting to find out what exactly is going on. It feels like an eons since it was released that there was a scandal that, classes didn't exist, and they were just for basketball players. So we'll have to find out what goes on. Now, Syracuse, a lot of people are saying they shouldn't be in based on their merit. People have a case. 19 wins, lost 5 of the last 6 games. And I'm not going to get... They probably shouldn't be there, but at the same time, they're in the Final Four. They had a very easy path. They beat a number 1 seed, yes. I know Syracuse, sorry, they beat the teams that are there. You're absolutely right. There's nothing you can say about that. They beat the teams that they were scheduled to play. They got a break when Michigan State lost to Middle Tennessee. My issue is they cut such a sweet deal with the NCAA. Man, oh man. And Jim Boeheim was suspended for 9 games. But don't worry, next year, they missed 1 postseason. That's it, 1 postseason. For 12 years of academic fraud. 12 years. It was easy to take off last season when there wasn't a lot expected. There wasn't a lot expected this year either, so I have to be fair. I don't think Jim Boeheim in his wildest dreams thought this team would be in the Final Four. I mean, I think most people probably couldn't name 3 players on that team. And then in North Carolina, boy, that is some investigation the NCAA is doing. Man, oh man. I'm sure it'll be done maybe right after the championship. It's amazing, the timing. You heard it here first. And Roy Williams, now he seems to be going after people. No, it was Kent Babb of the Washington Post wrote a story that, Roy Williams he's had a lot of, with the scandal, he's had some knee surgeries. I think a lot of it's just been draining on him, and he's sort of insinuated that this may be Roy Williams' last rodeo. And Williams did not take kindly to that. In fact, he went on the Dan Patrick show and sort of said that, I don't have the quote in front of me. I was going to try to look for it. I'm going to be nice to you and not make you go through things while I stutter and try to just stall if I can get the quote. But something along the lines of, if him and his friends see that writer in the street, you better watch out. I mean, 64-year-old Roy Williams and his geriatric posse, they're going to take out Kent Babb. Watch out. What are they going to make him do? Sprints, suicides, and then throw basketballs at him? From a guy that's basically from Mayberry and probably still stays awake at night because he swore after the national championship game 10 years ago, he's now calling out threats like he's a rapper in some sort of feud with Kent Babb. I want to hear the diss track. Some of these guys, they're very touchy when you talk about their future. I mean, remember, bring up Mike Francesa again, and him and Jim Calhoun, obviously, they had a falling out, but then they got back together and very close. And you had former WFAN producer and talk show host and now current host on SNY, Chris Carlin, reporting that Calhoun was out. and he was retiring. It turned out not to be true, and Francesa, he just basically undressed Carlin on the air. He just eviscerated him and, ended the call with this.
Is he going to retire or not?
I don't know.
Well, that's why you're a clown. Bye.
So these guys don't like it. Again, Mike has to associate himself with Jim Calhoun. Right? They're like the same person. So on Saturday, we'll see what happens. I'm predicting a Oklahoma-North Carolina final, and that is going to be very close. It's tough with games like this because you have a guy that can change the game so much in Buddy Hield. But let's say Buddy Hield gets 2 quick fouls. That game can be changed. Now, not to say that there are slouches on the rest of that team on Oklahoma, but that changes the game. Buddy Hield is by far the best player in the entire college basketball. So I like to see Oklahoma win the whole thing. And again, Oklahoma, North Carolina. So as far as that goes, whatever that means, there you have it. So let's jump into the NBA real quick. We have LeBron James, who, it feels like ancient history because I haven't had time to sit and chat with you. LeBron James is now unfollowed the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it was on Instagram. I don't know if it was on Twitter as well, which... the fact that we're talking about it and it's a thing, that this is just the seed planted in 2016. Wait till 2020 when we're sitting here saying, all right, these are the reasons so-and-so is going to leave that team. He doesn't like the coach, doesn't like the players, his teammates getting Now, he's followed the team on he's unfollowed the team on Instagram, and then they'll have the other guy. Yeah, that's a great point. When you unfollow someone on Instagram, you're trying to say something. You're trying to prove a point. You're sending a clear message that you don't want to be around that organization anymore. So they have to take that into consideration when moving out forward. And what the other thing was, what was it? What was the other thing LeBron said other than that? Oh, the super team, excuse me. He just floats it up that he wants to be part of this super team. Methinks that LeBron is a little bit jealous of the Golden State Warriors and how much attention Steph Curry and the crew are getting. LeBron ruled this sport. LeBron did everything. He was everywhere. He was the man on every SportsCenter highlight. And then Steph Curry sort of happened. And LeBron, while no one thinks he's a slouch, he's probably still the best all-around. He is the best all-around player in the NBA. He does not get the same attention like he used to. So, did you see him coaching the other night? He wasn't playing, but he was coaching with Tyronn Lue. It looked ridiculous. He's sitting there as Tyronn Lue is sort of pointing. LeBron is in his suit. In the coach's box. Also doing it. It's remember like Gina Davis and Tom Hanks in A League of Their Own are doing this, and sending signals to the batter, and Tom Hanks says, "Would you let me manage a goddamn team?" Like that's what it was like. LeBron. And Carmelo, he's not doing himself any favors. he's saying the other day, wasn't even going to talk about Carmelo, but he's part of that super team that we're all waiting to see, which will not happen. These guys are not taking that much less money. LeBron can say that as much as he wants, as if he's some sort of humanitarian. He ain't taking less money. I know he did to go to Miami, but all those guys would have to take such a hit on their salaries. It's kind of silly. But Carmelo said he is excited to play for Team USA because he wants to feel what success feels like again. I think we get it. Carmelo, you don't want to be there anymore. I think it's pretty clear, but you signed a big contract. Remember when you showed your loyalty to the team and now it's coming back to bite you in the ass? There's air quotes. I don't know why I'm doing them. You can't see them. The other thing, well, I was going to get into A-Rob, but we'll wait to do that with the baseball. D'Angelo Russell and Nick Young, two guys that Nick Young, I'm tired of hearing this guy's name because he dates a pop star, Iggy Azalea, and he plays in Los Angeles. His name is Swaggy P. And the idea that I'm talking about this guy in the podcast kind of I don't want to say it makes my skin crawl, but it's just ridiculous. Now, apparently, apparently Iggy Azalea is a big deal. Well, it's a bigger deal than you, Brian. But Nick Young is dating her, and unbeknownst to him, D'Angelo Russell, a rookie on the Los Angeles Lakers, is taping him. And they're having a conversation about the exploits of Nick Young exploits with the other young women while dating Iggy Azalea. Basically, he's cheating on her. And he recorded this and then leaked it to the internet. Just waiting for the word there. Internet. Like, no one condones cheating, but is there someone who wants to say, I condone secretly recording people and then releasing it to the internet? What kind of shit is that? D'Angelo Russell may have screwed his entire career. He was introduced to Los Angeles yesterday and booed by the home crowd. I mean, he totally screwed himself over there. I'm sure Kobe's just loving every second of this. Oh, God, can we just get to the middle of April already? I want to end this. Looks like the Golden State Warriors are going to break the record. I'm calling it now, where they have to go 5-2 or 6-2. I mean, they were beating Utah last night. I was following along on the game cast, and I'm like, oh, nice, Utah's up by 3. And then, Sheldon Mack misses it. Okay, all right, misses a free throw for Utah. Klay Thompson hits a three-pointer, and what do you know, it goes into overtime, and I stopped paying attention. I think I started watching, I don't know what I was watching, Forensic Files, something. And I talked about how much I love Forensic Files on this podcast before, right? Of course, you wake up, they won. It's unbelievable. It really is. I don't understand it. Well, I do understand it. They're pretty damn good. There's another team that I really like. And I know they're not going to do anything, but I really like the chemistry that they put together on the Charlotte Hornets. I really do. They're fighting for that third spot in the East. Do I think they'd beat Toronto? Possibly. Do I think they're going to beat Cleveland? No, I don't. But the idea of having Al Jefferson and Jeremy Lin and Kemba Walker on that team, you kind of like it. I mean, Patrick Ewing was on who was he on? He was on the Adrian Wojnarowski podcast, the Vertical podcast, which, if you're not listening to that, I hate promoting podcasts, but yeah, I know, because we're in direct competition. I'm sure Adrian Wojnarowski is worried about what the Red Ticket Blues is doing. But if you should listen to that podcast. You got Adrian Wojnarowski, JJ Redick, and Chris Mannix all do this under the Vertical umbrella, and they get some great guests. So I definitely think you should listen to that podcast. But Patrick Ewing was on. He was talking about the Charlotte head coach, whose name is escaping me right now, should have gotten the Coach of the Year last year. And now this year, I mean, again, the third seed. They're probably not going to go far, but this is a building block for a team that has not really seen a lot of success in a long, long time. And we're going back to Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues. And, I mean, Steve Clifford, that's his name. Coach Steve Clifford of the Charlotte Hornets. So, I don't know, I like that team. I always liked the Hornets. Because I was short in the beginning of high school, so I love Muggsy Bogues. That's my ankle cracking. I loved Muggsy Bogues. So I had my authentic Muggsy Bogues jersey, and I thought I was so cool. Still think I'm cool, and this time I know I'm not, because I kind of did back then. But all right, so let's move on to baseball. And I was talking about Alex Rodriguez. He's retiring, but he's not retiring. So I don't know if people were really making a bigger deal out of that. Was A-Rod just sort of saying, I'm probably going to retire? I think we all expected it. I don't know what the market is for like a 42-year-old designated hitter. And we have to imagine his skills are going to diminish. We imagine. That's usually what happens to players. Who knows what the direct quote? Well, I don't know what the direct quote was. It was kind of difficult to. Okay, Brian, you didn't hear the quote. Basically, just say that. Stop with the bullshit. So we'll see. Alex joined my friend Sessa the other day. Another man who announces his retirement 2 years in advance. And yeah, old friends. There we go. But let's go with the Yankees here. They've already have some issues. Brian Mitchell, reliever, sort of swing man there. He's out for 3 months. Was it a toe issue? Broken something. Andrew Miller has a fractured bone floating around his non-throwing hand. He says he's going to play through it. I highly doubt that. I think that's just bravado from a player that doesn't want to sit, but he most likely will. You got CC Sabathia, struggling to make that 5th spot, battling with Nova. But Sabathia's not even going to acknowledge that it's a battle for the 5th spot. Poor CC. I mean, this could be a bad year. This could, not that, listen, last year was bad too. He's had multiple issues, but from a playing standpoint, I think this could be the year that really ends him. And based on all, info from spring training, because that's obviously a precursor for the future, without a doubt, right? And who was it? Tanaka will be the opening day starter. Just a few days ago, he had to show something to Joe Girardi. So you got to love it that the ace, or so-called ace, of the team has to show something to the manager to be the opening day starter. I don't know. I don't know how this team's going to be. It's all about injuries. We've said this before. As we get closer, I feel like it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. What's their over-under? 86 or 84? I keep seeing it change, I guess, wherever you go. So, yeah. I don't think I know you, so you're not going to be my friend on Facebook. So looking at my phone, excuse me. Podcast, Brian, podcast. All right, staying in baseball and opening day starters, Matt Harvey. Now, he had some health issues this week, as we all know, and it was clouded in a lot of secrecy. It's a medical issue, non-game related. It could be big, but he could miss opening day or it could be nothing. So you immediately start thinking this guy could potentially have some sort of disease, possibly cancer or something like that, and he needs to get tests done. And they found out it was bladder issues, blood clots in his bladder. Which, listen, that's kind of scary. Now, you can all have a joke about it because the reason he said that is he's holding in his pee too long. I mean, I think this was the quote. I'm holding my pee in too long. I need to learn to pee more frequently. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, can you come up with a better quote than that? I need to learn to pee more frequently. You know what I knew I learned to pee more frequently? When I was holding it and crossing my legs, and my parents said, "What do you think, it's going to fall off?" And then I peed. I was 5, by the way. 5 years old. We all know you've listened to the podcast. I love me some ripping some Matt Harvey, but this is kind of a touchy one. It's easy to jump and hit a man while he's down, and then of course the New York media goes crazy with the headlines: field of streams, piss this, blah 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 blah. You're in luck, as in urine. Get it? You're gotta relieve. Everything you can think of. And now he is no longer talking to the media. We'll see how long that lasts. Matt Harvey cannot not talk to the media. Not talk to the media. Right. He'll talk to the media. They all do. Give me a break. Jose Bautista kept it up pretty good with the Toronto guys last year, but he eventually cracked. And the other local team around here is the Boston Red Sox, which, we had Chad Finn on from the Boston Globe a few weeks ago, and we both agreed, I don't get the high praise that this team has. I think they're the third highest ranking to I forget the exact odds to win the World Series. I don't see it. So let's go around this team right now. You got Koji Uehara, who's 40 years old. David Ortiz, who's 40 years old. You're relying on 40-year-olds. You have a pitcher in Price, who's amazing. Got it. Everyone after that, who the hell is good on that team? Joe Cy Young Kelly, who was in the minors last year. Eduardo Rodriguez is out for, I think, until at least May or June. Who else? Pablo Sandoval is not starting now. Travis Shaw is the starting third baseman. Travis Shaw. Pablo Sandoval is sitting on the bench of Rusney Castillo. I think that's like $30 million right there, sitting on the bench. The rumors are Sandoval will be going to San Diego for James Shields. I don't know why the Padres would do that. I realize a big game James, who's never won a big game in his life, Shields, is not the pitcher he used to be, but still, Pablo Sandoval is a pig. And we've seen he is a pig. No snout, no curly tail, but he's a pig. When I see a pig, I know a pig. And he's not going to be able to help that team. I'm making that declaration on March 31st. He won't be able to help that team the entire baseball year. Nice call, Brian. But obviously the Red Sox don't think he's good enough to start, so I still think in the AL East, it's going to be the Blue Jays. It'll probably be it's going to be the Yankees or Red Sox second, third. And then after that, Orioles. I mean, you never know the Rays. They may jump in there too, but the Orioles will probably be pretty bad this year. It could be a knockout drag. It could be the NFC East as the AL East. So I'm not going to preview all of baseball. I tried doing that last year, and I think I got 2 divisions in and forgot about it, or just stopped doing it. So that's what you get. And so opening day will be very soon. It'll be Monday, April 4th, and the weather is supposed to be awful in the Northeast. I think they said it in Boston. It will be it'll feel like 11 degrees. So welcome, David Price, 11 degrees. So staying in baseball real quick, we will go to the, let's see, I wanted to talk about real quick the food. Yankees have screwed over everyone and their ticket holders. And oh, by the way, those commercials on the Fan and on television, they're getting kind of brutal. Comcast people, you better leave Comcast or you're going. I from the beginning always thought Comcast and or the Yankees would cave and they'd come to agreement. I don't think they're coming to an agreement. This is getting kind of rough. And I mean, we're a few days from opening day, and I think Comcast, and yes, I think they parted ways. I think it's official. I can't believe I'm saying it. I was wrong. I was wrong. What do you want me to say? I was wrong. No, I mean, I think it's over. I don't think it's happening. So you need to get Frontier, DirecTV. I was going to say Xfinity, but that's Comcast, right? And all your other cable providers, Time Warner, because it's not happening. But the Yankees are trying to stay pleasant, or keep pleasant with their fans. And they've already screwed over people with the StubHub stuff, even though I think they are talking, and I wouldn't be surprised if that comes back. But what about the fraud, Long Trust? So, they've got some new food they're going to release. No prices, of course, because, he may have to take out a small loan to get some of them. But here's one of them. I'm going to have to move my chair here. There we go. All right. The goat. The goat. It is not full of goat. It is greatest of all time, in case you didn't know. Burger. Features custom blended beef topped with crispy bacon, pastrami, American cheese, and goat sauce. Oh, good. Barnyard Wedding. Because, nothing screams more, can I have my food laced with bestiality than Barnyard Wedding. Features custom blend crispy fried chicken cutlet, shredded potato hash browns, BBQ sauce, aged cheddar cheese on toasted bun. All right. The Double Double. Not to be confused with the Double 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 Double. And that's the double grilled cheese double burger melt, featuring 2 custom blend beef burgers, onion rings, yada, 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 boar's head cheese. Finishing, this is a 2-person job. So this is for 2 people. Hence the, Jesus Christ, Brian. Hence the title, Double Double. The Big Cheese is the grilled cheese stand, featuring a variety of grilled cheese made with premium, artisan, and local cheese from Boar's Head. That actually looks ridiculous. Signature chicken fingers, souvenir ice cream. Okay, none of these other ones. Jim Beam chicken sandwich. New craft beer offerings. 10 Barrel, Apocalypse, Bronx Brewery, Catskill, Checker. I don't know any of those. Oh, a Blue Point. I know that. I'll have to check some of those out. Yeah, can I have an artesian craft beer? That's $17. Oh, good deal. Thank you. Okay, where's my seat? Way up there. So I guess we'll end it. We're at about 27 and change right now. So, hey, how about Kim Jong-un? Huh? I wasn't even going to talk about him. I just saw him on the computer. What a pig. Speaking of pigs, him and Pablo Sandoval should hang out. Chow down, wide load. And, get in their trough and eat. Dude weighs like 300 pounds while the rest of the fucking country's starving. He would say, get ready, for the... we're going to have to... He actually said something along the lines of, things are going to be very bad, and we're going to have to start eating the grass, the roots of the trees. Things are very bare. Well, this pig just balloons. He's almost 300 pounds to 290 pounds. But again, all the media out of there, who knows? But I did see the picture. He has put on weight. There's no propaganda for that one. Sorry. You can't say Photoshop because you don't Photoshop to make people fatter. I've noticed that. But last night, there was the Mike and the Mad Dog reunion show, and that's why I actually delayed the podcast. First of all, I wanted to watch it. And so I went to MSG, and that Nick's studio host, Spiro Agnew, not Spiro Agnew, something along those lines, says, hey, check out the Mike and the Mad Dog reunion show on MSG Plus. Of course, I don't get MSG Plus. I call up my father. He used a DirecTV, his DirecTV credentials. Maybe they're better than Frontier. Or maybe if you got a better package, Brian, you would have got an MSG Plus. It's the bottom line. Anyways, so I tried streaming that through the computer, DirecTV, right up your ass. You don't help me. So I listened to a little bit on the radio, and it was fun listening. And then I heard the guests came out, and I heard that was kind of a snooze fest. I guess it had its moments, but here's the thing, and I mentioned this on Twitter today, and I know I'll get killed for it again. And I know I'm a walking contradiction with this because I've already mentioned Mike Francesa twice on the podcast earlier. You've listened to the show. I mean, there are certain podcasts completely dedicated to Mike Francesa. That's how sick in the head I am. But here's the thing. I'm a little Mike and the Mad Dog out. There's only so many times. And, Brian, you're probably saying that because you didn't attend. Well, maybe there's a little bit of that. But I didn't attend for a reason. I mean, the tickets were like $9. The secondary market, it killed it. It did $150 tickets were going for like $10 on StubHub because it was televised and it was on the radio. There's only so much you can actually celebrate with something that's not happening anymore. If they said, hey, we're getting back together, and then we celebrated and, had a great time with the current shows, things that were going on, and that's great. But what happened. We can only hear the same boring story so many times, too. Mike saying, oh, it'll never work. It was a shotgun wedding. This guy said this. I was from Brent Musburger. A dog came in here. It just worked for 19 years. Oh, and there'll never be. And listen, there will be never be another show like that. They made sports radio. They made sports radio what it is. But it kind of reminds me, is it like a team that they bring back? 25 years since this team came back, and yeah, everyone will cheer. This is great. Remember the good times? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's the past. The past is the past. You can't say more things about it. Like, I've read so many freaking articles about it over and over again and hearing the same stories over and over again. And it's great seeing them together again. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But I mean, if someone wanted to sit and celebrate The Simpsons, you know what we do? We talk about the little things about The Simpsons, certain episodes. I feel like that really wasn't done a ton with the Mike and the Mad Dog. It was like, wow, this is how wacky they were. Sometimes they did this, sometimes they did that. Like the Mike and the Mad Dog best of on WFAN, too many interviews. People in the industry, and I'm not in the industry, say interviews are what sells. Interviews are what sells. You want to get interviews. And I have interviews on here. I think they're interesting just because it's me asking different questions. But to bring on people, I think on shows on the radio, they're bringing the same people, asking the same questions. I don't know. How many times can I hear a story from Mark Messier and Joe Torre? Joe says, hey, when we go to Atlanta, we're going to win that. Oh, Christ, I've never heard that story before. Holy Christ. And Mark Messier, who put anyone to sleep. My God. Surprised Francesa stayed up. Oh! But that's what I'm saying. And you know what? I got a message, a note, if you will. That's what people in the biz say. Didn't you just say you weren't in the biz, Brian? Because you're not. But I just got a message from the great WFAN Trades with a link to an article on Complex about how the reunion show was kind of corporate. It was stuffy. It was exactly what we predicted 2 months ago. So I will be seeking litigation in regards to Complex Magazine. Come at me, bro. That's what I'm saying. Come at me. Of course, I'm not kidding. That is a disclaimer. That is a complete joke. There's no litigation. So let's just appreciate what it was. And at the same time, I think it is over now. It's like the finale. We get it. We loved every second of it. The Jeter tour has ended. It's the final game. It was fun, and then it got to be a little bit much. But it's now over. I think we'll just let it go. But we'll see. We'll see. I can't do it anymore. Speaking of can't do it anymore, this podcast is over. But you can listen to all these podcasts and this podcast. What I don't know why anyone would download this pod. You're already listening to it, so why would you download it? But there are others. There were others, There were 8 of us. No, there's more. Field of Dreams. Do you get it? Anyone? Bueller? And you can listen to all those podcasts and download them on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube. I can't thank everyone enough. The downloads continue to rise, and I'm just happy people like it. I really am. I appreciate everybody, and I consider you all personal listeners. iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at BrianBuck13 and at Red Ticket Blues. Like the show on Facebook, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of those episodes. And remember to leave a rating if you haven't already, because you know how long it takes to actually leave a rating? As long as you just heard me talking about ratings, you could have already left one already. So just do it already. So with all that being said, I'm out of here.